The feet to the floor, knees up towards the sky, and letting the spine come down on the ground, letting the hands just rest by your hips or maybe hands onto the belly. And you can just let the eyes start to close, or maybe just rest the eyes back into the back of the skull. Ooh. Finding a nice long line through the spine, and just let the body start to settle here. So we'll take a few moments in this posture just to arrive and settle into the breath. So as you close the eyes down, let the body get nice and heavy down towards the floor. Feel that connection through the soles of the feet onto the mat. And from here, just take a few big breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Allowing the body to settle. Letting go of any extra tension. And arriving down onto the mat. Letting the shoulders be nice and soft. And then just letting go of that breath, start to just sweep your awareness over the body, starting from the feet, traveling up through the feet, up through the legs, all the way through the body to the crown of the head, just noticing any areas of tension or holding, any areas of space. Allowing yourself to ground down towards the floor. So feeling that connection of the back of the body on the mat. And as you let yourself settle, just noticing your energy levels this morning. And then bringing the attention to your breath. So noticing the breath that's already moving through the body. Without any need to change it or adjust it in any way, just noticing how it feels to breathe this morning. So noticing the belly rising and falling, noticing the chest starting to expand and release, maybe even that flow of air through the nostrils onto the upper lip. And then exploring where you feel the sensation of breath is starting to begin. So maybe it feels like it's starting from the belly, arising from somewhere under the belly button. Or perhaps it feels more like a chest breath, so a little bit higher up in the torso. And there's no right or wrong answer to this, of course, so just noticing what you notice. How is the depth of the breath this morning? Do they feel quite deep, or is it quite shallow? Is the inhale slightly longer than the exhale, or do they feel quite even? Just starting to become aware of those really subtle movements of the breath as we lie here. So maybe even noticing a very gentle rock of the pelvis as you inhale and as you exhale. Maybe sensing into some movement up into the shoulders. Maybe even a slight lengthening and contracting of the spine as you breathe here. And then we'll just gently start to let the knees drop over to the left side of the mat. On an exhale, letting the knees get nice and heavy. And then as you inhale, lifting the knees and taking them up over to the right side. Dropping down, rolling through the pelvis, rolling through the feet. And inhale, lifting. Exhale, they drop over to the left. So just a gentle movement through the lower back, washing through the lumbar spine. Side to side with the knees, maybe having a play with where the movement initiates from. So maybe it feels like you're rolling through the soles of the feet to start that motion. Maybe it's a lift of the knees. Or maybe you're thinking about how you're rolling through the pelvis as one hip lifts, printing them both down into the floor, and then the opposite hip is lifting. So just exploring how where your attention rests in the movement, maybe it feels a little bit different as you initiate the movement from different places. Still moving nice and easy with the breath. And then as you gently come back up to the center on your next inhale, leaving the knees up towards the sky, we're just going to hug that right knee into the chest very gently and send the left leg out long on the mat. So as the left leg comes long on the mat, flexing the toes of the left foot up towards your face and pressing through the heel of the left leg and taking a little gentle squeeze of that right knee into the chest, and then a very gentle side to side with that right knee. So just a little massage into the top of that hip joint. Nice long breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And then we're gently going to draw that right knee a little bit further up towards the right shoulder. So maybe releasing the left hand and just using the right hand to draw the knee towards the right shoulder. A few long breaths here. You can take the knee a little bit further out to the side if that feels good. And then gently coming back to the center and taking the knee all the way over the left leg to take a little spinal twist this time. So left hand outside of the right knee, taking it up and over into a spinal twist and letting that right shoulder stay nice and heavy down towards the floor. Taking the right hand out to the side and taking the gaze over those fingertips. Taking a few easy breaths here into that nice twist through the spine. As you find those breaths, seeing if you can find a nice even breath between the inhale and the exhale now. So evening out the length of the inhale and the length of the exhale. And then gently we come back up and over with that right knee. Hug it into the chest for a breath. Big squeeze and then let the knee go, let the right leg come all the way down next to the left leg. And just take a moment to release the two legs, let the toes fall out to the side. Everything goes floppy through the lower body and just feeling the difference on the two sides, especially into the legs and the hips. Seeing if there's a sense of length on the right side, a little bit more than the left, a bit more release. And then we'll come into the other side. So gently squeezing left knee into the chest, interlacing hands over the knee, drawing the knee in towards the chest as you flex the right toes, drawing them up towards the face, pressing through the right heel. as if you're standing on the wall in front of you. And then again, just a gentle side to side with that top knee. Little wake up to that top hip flexor. Sending breath into anywhere that feels a little bit tight or sticky this morning. And then gently, maybe taking that knee a little bit further each time. Yeah, nice and easy. So a sense of sort of giving a massage to the front of that hip. And then we gently draw that left knee a little bit closer to the left armpit, so it comes a little bit further out to the side. Feeling that stretch work down maybe to the outer hip on the left. Maybe a little circle with the knee. And then we gently draw it up and over towards the right side with the right hand. So finding that spinal twist on the other side, taking the gaze over the left shoulder. Letting the left shoulder be nice and heavy to the floor. Oh, nice long breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. Sense of breathing extra space into the body. We twist through the spine. Diaphragm's getting a nice twist here. Making room for extra breath as we uncurl in a moment. And then when you're ready, gently coming back through the center, hugging that left knee into the chest. And then exhale, letting it come out long on the mat. Take a moment to then just shuffle through the hips, release the lower body, release the toes, let everything go floppy. Big breath in, breath out here. And then drawing both feet back towards the floor, knees bend, feet find the ground. And we're just hugging that right knee in again, but without taking the hands to the shin. Just starting to take a circle with that knee as if you're drawing a circle in space. Circling through the right hip. We tend to just move our hips in one direction when we're walking backwards or forwards or sitting down, standing up. Seeing if we can get full range of motion into that hip joint. Any clicking or crunching is okay as long as it's not too painful. So move nice and gently this morning. Breathe into any places that feel sticky. Seeing if you can feel almost like you're really rolling that hip round in the hip joint. Nice and fluid. Changing direction of the circles whenever you're ready. Never moving through anything that's painful. If it's painful, slow it down. Make it smaller, really working with your body. And then releasing that right foot back down to the floor, gently on an exhale. Again, let that land, feel the difference on the two sides. And then gently inhale, lift the left leg. Sorry, my left and right so awful. Take a circle with that left knee, circling into the left hip socket on the other side. Having a play with smaller circles, bigger circles if it feels okay. Long breaths as you move. Having to get some fluid into that joint and round the other way whenever you're ready. Use the foot that's on the floor to help to stabilize you as you move that top knee. And then gently, gently starting to finish up that last circle. Start to place the foot back down onto the floor, let it land. It lands, breath in, breath out. And then we're gently sliding the left leg down the floor again and lifting the right knee into the chest. This time, as we flex through the left toes, so pull the left toes towards your face, press through the heel of the left foot to feel that left leg engage along the mat, and then start to lift the right leg up towards the sky, taking the hands just behind the thigh of the right leg and starting to flex the right toes down towards your nose as you press up through the heel. So as if you're standing on the ceiling, it can be a nice big bend into that knee if it needs to. Just giving a little stretch all the way up that back hamstring of the right leg. You can gently start to draw the thigh towards you. You might feel a little bit of a switching on, a little bit of a shake or a tremble. Again, as long as it's not painful, just waking that connection up all the way through the back of the leg. Either staying here for 5 breaths, or if you want to come a little bit further this morning, gently curling the nose up towards the thigh so that the upper back starts to lift off of the floor. Breathing here, long breaths. If you have a strap and you'd prefer to take that over the ball of the foot, you can always do that too. 2 more long breaths here, wherever you are. And then we gently release the head back down to the floor. If you've got it lifted, release the hands and gently release the leg all the way down to the ground. Again, let the toes come out to the side, let everything go soft. And then we're gently drawing left leg in towards the chest. Flexing the right toes, pressing through the right heel, engaging through that right leg on the ground, and then lifting the left leg up towards the sky. Hand binds behind the thigh, or maybe you can have the strap around the ball of the foot. Gently pressing the heel up towards the sky, lengthen through the back of the leg as the toes pull down towards your nose. 5 long breaths, maybe a little lift of that head up towards the knee. Lengthening in through the breath. As we find that last breath in, breath out, we start to release the head if you had it lifted. Start to release the strap or release your hands. And left leg comes all the way down towards the ground. Take a moment to soften, release through the lower body. Nice big breath in, big breath out. And then we're gently drawing both knees into the chest this time, giving a big squeeze, a big hug. And again, maybe lifting the nose up towards the knees, drawing yourself into a little ball. And then we can start to rock forward and back on the spine if it feels okay. Coming all the way up and over. Or if you prefer to just roll over to one side, you can just roll over and then coming up to a nice easy cross-legged seated position. So take a moment just to land with the spine upright. We've been on the back for a while. So as you find that seated position, just take a little wiggle through the sitting bones, find the sitting bones underneath you, spine is nice and long. You can keep the eyes closed if it's comfortable, keep that attention on the breath. And from here, we'll just start to tiptoe the fingertips out in front to crawl the chest down towards the floor. As you find a little forward fold, feeling that stretch a little bit up through the back of the legs into the glutes, and then just taking a little gentle rock side to side with the chest. Moving with the breath, softening the chest down towards the floor, but keeping those sitting bones nice and heavy. And then gently walking the fingertips back up and taking the fingers behind the sitting bones, letting the fingertips land onto the ground as we take a big breath in and lift the chest up to the sky, arching through the spine, pressing the chest up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, coming back through the middle. Taking left hand outside of right knee and just taking a really easy twist over that right shoulder, belly and chest are turning. Long breath in, long breath out. And inhale, coming back through the center, over the other side, right hand outside of left knee. Big breath in as belly and chest turn. Big breath out. One more inhale. And exhaling, coming back through the center. I'm going to just take the right leg out long along the mat and bring the left sole of the foot into the right thigh, flexing up through the toes of the right foot, and then just sliding the right hand along that leg and reaching up and over with the left arm. So reaching the left arm up just past the ear, you're rolling the chest and the belly open towards the ceiling and keeping that left hip nice and heavy. And softening down towards the knee with that left elbow, that right elbow. So really stretching through the side of the body. You can even take a few arm circles here with that top arm if that feels nice, just to get a bit of movement into the shoulders. And then gently coming all the way back up and over to sit upright, and then we slide left leg out on the floor, right leg comes in, sole of the foot to the inside of that thigh. Sitting up nice and tall, flexing the left toes up towards the face and starting to turn belly, turn chest. And then sliding that left hand down towards the left ankle, reaching right arm up and over the ear. Belly and chest are turning slightly towards the ceiling. And again, lots of nice big breaths into the side of the body, maybe finding those big circles with that top arm. Getting some movement into the shoulder, feeling the shoulder blade move along the back. And then as we find that arm come up over the ear, inhale, come back through the center, drawing both legs back together, finding that easy seat. And again, just one breath twist this time, left hand to outside of the right knee. Might find you can go a little bit further in the twist now. And exhale, come back to the center and over to the other side. And then back through the center. And we'll rock forward onto our hands and knees and find a nice easy tabletop position. So spreading the fingers nice and wide and having the shoulders underneath the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath your hips, and then just taking a nice easy forward and back as you breathe in and out over the wrists, maybe some big circles with the belly around the mat, sinking the weight forward over the wrists and back towards the back of the mat. Maybe 3 circles in one direction and then changing direction. Not locking out into any of the joints, nice and fluid with the breath and fluid with the movement. And then we'll gently come back to our neutral tabletop as we finish up that last circle. And finding a little cat-cow here, so dropping the belly, untucking the tailbone, shining the gaze up to the sky, chest lift, and exhale, rounding the spine, pressing the hands into the floor, tucking the tailbone. Inhale, belly drops, tailbone untucks, chest comes forward between the shoulders, and exhale, rounding the spine, really pressing the hands into the floor to send the spine up towards the sky. 2 or 3 more like this, just in your own breath. Just waking up the back of the spine, the front of the spine, feeling that contraction and expansion. Moving the breath into anywhere in the body that feels it needs a little bit more energy or attention. If there's anywhere that feels particularly tight or sticky, maybe pausing and breathing into that place. And then as we come back through our neutral tabletop on that next breath, pausing here together, we're going to come into our puppy pose. So start to tiptoe the fingers to the front of the mat, keeping our hands nice and wide. Hips are staying above the knees as we sink the chest and the forehead down to the floor. So finding that nice long line from the tailbone through to the crown of the head. And the forehead can just rest onto the ground if that's comfortable. Taking 5 nice long breaths, feeling that stretch through the spine, shoulders drawing away from the ears, maybe a little sense of lifting up through the armpits. So really stretching through the spine. Tailbone is lifting up to the sky. As we finish that last round of breath here, gently walking the hands back underneath the shoulders, coming back to our tabletop and then tucking the toes gently and starting to press the ground away to lift the knees off of the floor. So as you lift the knees up, start to feel everything engage. And then either breathing here or maybe starting to take a little lift of the hands, a lift of the feet, like you're walking through something sticky, or almost like a cat when they pad out on your lap when they come to sit down with you. That sort of lifting of the hands, lifting of the feet, seeing if you can alternate the feet and the hands. Starting to feel that integrated strength building through the body. 2 more breaths. And then pausing in that little lift with the knees and sending the hips up and back into a downward facing dog. So as the gaze goes towards the toes, taking any little movements that feel good here, maybe bending one knee, sending the opposite heel to the ground, walking out through the backs of the legs. Keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. And then finding a place to pause in our downward facing dog, gaze is down towards the toes. Hands are pressing into the floor. And as we inhale, we're going to lift up onto the toes of the feet. So lifting the heels high, inhale. And exhale, sinking the heels to the floor. Or more like that. So inhale, lifting onto the toes. And exhale, dropping the heels down. Nice. 3 more. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, dropping the heels. Inhale, lifting to the toes. Exhale, heels working to the floor. Last one. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, heels start to work to the ground. And then we're gently taking little baby steps to the front of the mat. Landing the feet just behind the wrists. Taking a big bend into the knees as you find that nice easy forward fold. Maybe taking the hands over the elbows. Gently swaying side to side here. So letting everything hang down from the pelvis. Nice and soft. Maybe take a nod yes with the head, a shake no with the head. Let any tension go out the back of the neck. Maybe even a big breath in through the nose. And gently flutter it out through the lips. Letting any tension go from the face, from the jaw. 2 more like that. Big breath in. And exhale, fluttering out through the lips. 1 more breath. Exhale. And then releasing the hands onto the ground. Bending the knees and starting to roll up through the spine. As we tuck the tailbone under uncurling, gently building the spine as we come to stand. So nice and slow, head is the last thing to come up, pouring the weight down through the feet as you roll the shoulders up and down the back. I've completely lost you on my video, so I'll just set that up. So as we find that standing posture, feet are nice and connected to the floor, and we're just going to sweep the hands up to the sky on a big inhale and catch the right hand with the left wrist. And then pressing down through the right foot, take a big breath in, lengthen through the side of the body, and take it up and over to the left. Big stretch through the side of the body. Breathing some space into those right side ribs. And then inhale, we come back to the center. Right hand reaches over left wrist. Inhale, extend up to the sky. And exhale, up and over the right. Pressing down through that left foot. And inhale, come back to the center. Exhale, releasing the hands down. Take a little roll of the shoulders up and down the back a few times. And then starting to bring the fingertips to the shoulders, like you're painting a circle with your elbows round behind you. Big circles working into the shoulders, feeling the movement of the shoulder blades on the back, little opening into the chest. And then to take the fingers into big circles all the way around. And then the next time that the fingers come up towards the sky, finding a prayer position with the hands, really reaching feet to fingertips, big stretch all the way through the body. And then exhale, bend the knees, take the prayer down through the heart center. Hands coming all the way down to the floor. Chest folds over the thighs, back of the neck is nice and long. And we'll do that twice more. So inhale, lifting the arms, scooping them either side of the body. Big breath in, lift the gaze to the fingers. And exhale, diving over the legs, finding that nice, easy forward fold. Nice and fluid with the breath. Inhale, sweeping the hands high, lifting the gaze. And exhale, diving it forward, hands through the heart center, all the way over to that forward fold. Fingertips can come towards the floor. Let the back of the neck be nice and long. Chest is melting down towards the thighs. And then just take a sway side to side through the pelvis, through the feet. And then we're planting the hands down and stepping back with the right leg to land onto the knee, and left leg steps back, coming back through our tabletop. We find our way back to the tabletop position. We'll take a nice twist through the spine. So taking right fingers to the right shoulder. Take a big inhale as you start to turn the belly, turn the chest to the right. Gaze starts to go up over that shoulder. Maybe the right fingers start to reach up towards the sky as well. And then as we exhale, we're diving the right fingers underneath the left arm, taking the right ear to the ground. So that right ear comes all the way to the floor, shoulder comes down, and maybe reaching the fingertips of the left arm up towards the front of your mat. So you feel that nice stretch from the left fingertips all the way down the left side of the body to the left hip. And there's a nice stretch into that right shoulder. You're taking a few deep breaths here, in through the nose, out through the nose. Hips are lifted up over the knees. And then as the next inhale comes in, gently drawing that left hand back towards your nose, just under that left shoulder. Press the ground away and start to unthread the arm, coming back to your tabletop. Take a moment just to replant the hands, let that land. Take an easy breath in through the nose, out through the nose. And then we'll go the other side. So left fingers find the left shoulder. Turning the belly, turning the chest to the left. Big breath in. Maybe reaching fingertips up to the sky. And then exhale, threading the arm through and under, left ear comes to the ground. Maybe reaching that top hand to the front of your mat again. Feeling the line of energy from right fingertips all the way down to right hip. Breathing space into that left shoulder. Hips are lifted over the knees. So you take that last breath in on this side, start to slide that right hand back towards your shoulder, press the ground away, gently unthread the arms, come back through that tabletop pose. Let that land, take a breath in, a breath out. And then we'll just take a few cat-cows just to rebalance that spine. So inhale, lift the belly, drop the belly, sorry, lift the chest. And exhale, round your spine, gaze to navel. Inhale, untucking. Exhale, rounding. Last one, inhale, chest lifts. Exhale, press the ground away, cat pose. And then coming back through neutral, take the knees nice and wide, toes come to touch, and just sinking the hips back to your child's pose. So reaching the fingers out in front, letting the chest come down to the floor, rest the forehead down. Taking a few nice deep breaths into that hip opener, maybe a little shuffle side to side in the hips. Can allow the forehead to rest down onto the floor, maybe a little roll, a little massage between the eyebrows, between the third eye space. And then settling into some stillness here. So we'll take about 10 breaths in this posture. So really letting everything settle down towards the floor again, letting everything be heavy. And just sensing into how the body feels after we've moved and stretched. Tuning into any of those subtle sensations through the body, whereas the breath, maybe sending some breath down into the lower back as if there were a pair of just invisible hands, very gently just pressing into the back of the pelvis. See if you can fill the palms with breath. And then as we find that last couple of breaths in our child's pose, we'll start to gently draw the hands back towards the knees and come up through a tabletop position. We're bringing the knees a little bit closer together again underneath the hips, and then tucking the toes under. And we're going to revisit that downward facing dog just for a few breaths. So as you inhale, lifting the knees, lift the hips up and back. Gaze goes towards the toes. And again, maybe finding that little flow coming up onto the toes on an inhale, lifting the heels. And exhale, sinking the heels towards the ground. Nice and soft. The inhale, lifting. Exhale, softening down. 2 more. Inhale, lifting onto the toes. And exhale, soften them down towards the floor. Inhale, lifting. And exhale, softening the heels down and dropping the knees back down as well. And then gently just sitting the feet back onto the heels. Let the spine come back upright. Find a nice kneeling position at the back of the mat. And then if you have a bolster or some pillows, we're going to take a supported child's pose for a few breaths. So it's nice and restful and a nice stretch for into the hips and the lower back as well. So whatever props you're using, just bringing it long along the mat. If it's quite low to the ground, you can always build it a little bit higher with pillows or blankets, whatever you have. So you want to find a nice supportive structure for underneath the chest. So we're going to take the knees nice and wide, toes are touching again, and you want to sort of snuggle your knees in towards your bolster, so you feel like you're hugging the knees in, and that will help to protect the lower back, because we're going to stay here for a little while. So as you find that position with your props, gently start to let the chest melt down onto the support, and just find a side of the neck that the neck feels nice and easy. Usually one side feels better than the other, so go for whatever feels more natural. And then just hugging the arms around as if you're giving it a hug, squeeze everything in, and then just let yourself soften. Feeling nice and supported by whatever is underneath your chest. And close the eyes here if it's comfortable. And if you have any pain in the hips or in the ankles, especially in this pose, you can always roll up a blanket underneath the sitting bones, between the sitting bones and the heels, just as a little extra support. Or maybe you take something under the fronts of the ankles as well. So if it becomes uncomfortable, those options are always available. So stay here for a little while. So start to soften the breath and just feel that support of the ground and the support of the foot. Allowing the breath to still be the focus of the mind. So if the mind does tend to wander off into the future, into what we need to do for the rest of the day, or maybe next week, or if it's going back over past things, maybe bringing it back to those sensations of where you're breathing. And then whichever side your head is resting, just starting to lift the head and take it over to the other side now. So swapping the gaze to the opposite side of the room. You might be practicing this posture with the forehead down, so length through the back of the neck as well. If that's the case, you can just stay there. And if you're taking the little twist through the cervical spine, through the neck, making sure that you take it on the other side, just to balance out. And then gently from here, we're going to start to make our way out of the forward fold. So just gently bringing the hands underneath the shoulders, press them into the floor to gently start to lift the chest up off of the props. So moving nice and slowly, nothing too jarring from the nervous system. Will start to come down back onto the back. So just gently moving your bolsters or pillows out of the way. You can gently just bring the feet out in front and find a way to roll down onto the back of the body. So come back down, just letting the spine come nice and long. And the feet are just gently on the floor again, knees pointing up towards the sky. So same position we started in, that easy constructed rest pose. Settling the spine here, let the breath just drop down to the floor, let everything get heavy. And then just lifting the right leg up in towards the chest, crossing the right ankle over the left knee, and sending that right knee out to the front of the mat. And then just gently drawing the left thigh in towards the chest and taking the hands to interlace behind the left thigh. So right hand sort of threads through the legs, left hand comes outside, and gently drawing that thigh in towards the chest. Start to pull the right toes up towards the right knee, just to protect that knee joint. A gentle reclined pigeon just to finish before we come into Shavasana. So a few long breaths here, feeling that stretch down the right side of the outer right hip, right thigh, pressing the right knee away to draw the left thigh in towards the chest. And then gently releasing the hands. Left foot finds the floor, uncross the right ankle. Right foot comes back to the ground. Take a moment, let that land. And then left knee comes into the left chest, left side of the chest. Cross the ankle over the right knee. Left knee away from the left shoulder, drawing the right knee in. Hands come through to interlace behind that right thigh. And gently pulling the left toes towards the knee. 3 long breaths, sending that left knee away. We draw the shin in. And then gently swing. Right foot comes back to the floor. Gently uncross the top ankle. Left foot finds the ground as well. Let that land. And then we gently take both feet out long on the mat into corpse pose, into Shavasana. So as we find our way down, letting the toes just drop out to the side. Palms maybe either side of the body, facing up to the sky. Maybe one hand on belly, one hand on chest. Anything that feels sort of grounding, comforting for you. Take any last little wiggles or movements through the body, just to really get comfy so that you can start to completely surrender the weight down towards the floor now. Letting the eyes rest back into the back of the skull. And just taking a gentle sweep through your body with your attention, starting from the soles of the feet. Anywhere that you find any extra holding or gripping, seeing if you can invite it to release, let go, down towards the floor. As the body starts to really settle into the stillness, seeing if you can allow the mind to also settle into same kind of stillness. So finding that sense of completely releasing, letting go. There's still some busyness in the mind, just gently using the breath to anchor your attention. And so from here, we'll start to just gently bring the attention back to the breath. Becoming sensitive to the movements of the belly, the chest, maybe even the flow of air through the nostrils. And then whenever you're ready, starting to take a little bit of movement into the body. So anything that feels intuitively nice for you, maybe wiggling fingers, wiggling toes, maybe circling wrists or ankles, maybe even a full body stretch starts to come through. Just gently bringing the attention back into the body. Maybe even a roll of the head gently side to side to release the back of the neck. And then slowly in your own time, rolling over onto one side. So finding a sleeping baby posture, just resting the head on the arm, knees are bent, a few breaths on the side. And then you can slowly start to make our way up into an easy seat, so pressing the ground away, finding a way to come back to that cross-legged position, maybe resting hands onto the knees or into the lap, keeping the eyes closed or the gaze nice and low. Feeling that connection inwards. Feeling the sitting bones down onto the ground. Spine nice and long, up towards the sky. And take a moment just to check in with yourself here now. How do you feel physically, mentally, emotionally? How is the breath? And then we'll join hands together at heart center, Anjali Mudra, just to honor yourself for practicing, honor each other for making space and time to come and meet and practice yoga on a Sunday. And bowing head to heart, namaste.